Hey everyone, I'm Amy Connell. Thanks for tuning in to Lessons to My Teenage Self, a Christ centered, diet culture free show about all things health for teen girls. This is the shortcut you need to thrive in your physical, mental, and spiritual health. As a personal trainer and nutrition coach, I'm passionate about empowering you to find your best version of health. Each week, we dig into one topic I wish I'd known as a teen. Some of you may know that while I spend a lot of time here and doing lessons that I wish I had known and writing books for teen girls, I got my start and I still serve women, and particularly women over 40, over at what I call graced health. So that's kind of everything I do is graced health. When I first started, I was blogging, and so my tagline was balanced, healthy living with a lot of grace and a little chocolate, because I really like chocolate, especially dark chocolate, and especially Dove dark chocolate with almonds, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, it was about 2015, 2016, and I was just getting ready to launch this blog that focused on helping women find balance in their health, because let's be honest, the health and fitness industry in general, they've lost their minds. Like, it's bananas. It's crazy. They're asking you to do all these kinds of stupid things, and it's just dumb. And I say that, and I'm a personal trainer. Anyway, so our church, the church we went to at the time, was having a series on taking care of ourselves. I think it was called like the Body Series or something like that. So we're walking into church, and I'm not proud to admit this, but I was walking to church and I thought, okay, we're learning about taking care of ourselves today. I'm here because I like worship, because it's the only time I ever sing out loud because I have a terrible voice. And I'm here because I like to see the people at my church, but I really don't need this message. I mean, I drink water. I like to have salads. Like, I exercise. What am I going to learn? Pro tip, never think that when you're walking into church, because you will most certainly learn something. The lesson I got that day completely blew my mind and turned everything I thought I knew about taking care of myself upside down. That lesson was, we take care of ourselves so we can do what we're called to do. Now, notice what's not in there. What's not in there is six-pack abs or having a certain size body or being super muscular defined or having a certain percentage of body fat or anything like that. Like, there's nothing in there. We take care of ourselves so we can do what we're called to do, because God has a purpose and a plan for each one of us. Now, that's simple, but if you're sitting there thinking, well, what's my calling? Like, I don't know what my calling is. All I want to do is like pass my test or get past the next game and then go on. Like, I don't know what my calling is. Are you kidding me? And if you're thinking that way, you're not alone. And I also want you to know, you don't have to know everything right now. You do not have to have it figured out. I actually spoke to a bunch of 8th graders at my local middle school recently. They have to do something called choose an endorsement. So as they're entering into high school, you choose kind of a pathway. So maybe it is a business pathway, or maybe it's a STEM pathway, or arts and sciences, liberal arts. You get the point. Theater, all of that stuff. So you have to choose a pathway. Well, I'm like, okay, you're asking 8th graders to choose something that they want to focus on in high school because they think they're going to want to focus on it in college because they think they're going to want to do that for the rest of their life. Are you kidding me? Come on. Can't we just go to school and be exposed to a lot of different things? So if you don't know your calling right now, that's okay. What I want to do today is give you a couple different ways of thinking about your calling. 5, actually. So this is not necessarily biblical, though I do pull examples out of the Bible, and I do feel like this is something that God has given me in this process of talking about doing what we're called to do. So I want to give you 5 different ways and 5 different types of callings. So it may be that you have more of a calling than you realize. You just didn't know that's what it was. The first one is what I call a micro calling. So those are just like little daily callings. Those are just opportunities to love and serve others, or something that we just need to be super focused on. So if you're an athlete and you've got a big game tonight, maybe your micro calling is to make sure that you've gotten enough sleep the night before, to make sure you're having plenty of water, that you had breakfast and lunch and ate any other time that your body's hungry. So that way you're well fueled to give it all you've got in whatever sport you have. Maybe if you have a big theater presentation, you're doing the same type of thing because you want to be clear. You want to be able to remember your lines. You want to be able to perform in a way that reaches your audience and compels and moves your audience. These are micro callings. Maybe it's just something like you're going about your day and you just feel like God's just pressing on your heart this one particular friend, or maybe just someone you know. And maybe it's just reaching out to that person, texting him, seeing him in the hallway, saying, "Hey, thinking of you, hope you're doing okay." Like these are just little bitty micro callings. So that's our first calling that I want you to think about. Maybe it's not this huge thing. Maybe it's just something really small that God is asking us to be obedient in, even in the small things. Maybe you have a creative calling. Maybe you have a talent that will bless others with that gift, and it fills your own soul and it blesses others. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can actually see right behind me a painting of my first book called Your Worthy Body. That painting was done by the daughter of a friend of mine. I think she was 15 at the time. And she just did that as a gift. And it is so special to me. It means so much to me. Let me tell you, that was a creative calling because I didn't ask her to do it. She just did that as a gift for me. And it continues to bless me, and it is in all of my videos because I love it so much. So maybe you don't paint, but maybe you doodle or you write or you bake unique cookies. Maybe you like to make encouraging reels or TikTok videos. Maybe you like to take photography or video things. These are all ways that we can be creative with the talents and the gifts that God gave us to bless others. And if you're thinking, I don't know, like what difference does that make? Then go step outside. Go look at the creativity that God has given us. Take notice of the colorful butterflies or plants if it's springtime, or maybe if it's wintertime, you're looking at just the snow or the ice glistening in the sun. If you're flying, look outside an airplane window and just see the gorgeousness that God has created from 30,000 feet. God's creativity is evident in nature, and it's evident in us too because we are all so unique. He didn't just make a template. I like templates. Let me tell you, I really like templates, especially with my social media stuff. We are not a template. God was creative in each and every single one of us as He was creating us. Another type of calling is a service calling or a servanthood calling. So that is serving others with our time or our care or our presence. And those are just those small things that you see someone needs help, or maybe they're saying they need help and you step up and you do that. Maybe you just shoot a friend a text and say, "Hey, good luck on your exam today," or "Good luck on your game today." Maybe it's reaching out to a member of your family and saying, "Hey, thanks for all you do. I really appreciate how you take care of me or what you do for me." Maybe you have an elderly neighbor or a neighbor who can't get around much and you take their dog for a walk. That's such a gift and such a blessing because I don't know about their dogs, but my dog gets really antsy when she hasn't been out for a while. So just providing service to another, that's another calling. The fourth one I want to offer is a seasonal calling. Now, I know that you maybe haven't had a ton of seasons in your life. I've had a little bit more, and I can look back and see, oh, this is what I needed to do, and this is what God was wanting me to do for a season, for a period of a few weeks or months or maybe even years. But it's not something that God wanted me doing forever and ever. It was just a season. So maybe you're feeling like there's something that you need to do and you're like, I don't know that I really want to do this for the rest of my life. God may not want you doing it for the rest of your life. He just might want you doing it right now. And that's enough. Like God's love language is obedience. And so when we step into that, trusting Him, then that is what pleases God. Being obedient to a seasonal calling is part of that. So those are just for a period of time. And then the fifth and final calling that I have, and I specifically leave it last, is what's called the macro calling. So if you are familiar with the Bible, or if you've read in the book of Exodus, Moses was a shepherd. He was going along, minding his own business. And then all of a sudden there was this bush that was on fire, but it wasn't burning down. It wasn't there were no ashes. It just continued to be on fire. And it was God saying, I want you to go save the Israelites from Pharaoh. You've got to convince Pharaoh to let the Israelites go and to release them from slavery. That was a macro calling. And so I will often refer to that as your macro callings are like your burning bush, but we don't all have that. And that's okay. So if you are I do not know what this overarching purpose is in my life, that's okay. I want you to think about if it might fit into some of the other ones, the micro callings, the creative callings, maybe the service callings or a seasonal calling. It may be that you've got something else going on. And pulling that back up to the beginning of this is we take care of ourselves so we can do those types of things, so we can be obedient when God calls us to something big or small or creative or just temporarily or just to serve others. That's why we take care of ourselves. He's not asking us to look a certain way. He's not asking us to have a certain size or anything. He just wants us to be able to go out and fulfill the things that He is asking us to do. So I want you to think about these callings today and think about how that might apply in your life. The one lesson I wish I had known as a teen is we take care of our bodies so we can do what we're called to do. That has changed everything in my relationship with food and exercise, and especially my body, and I hope it can help to change yours. That's all for today. Take today's lesson and go out there and live the life God has for you and your amazing original body. Thanks for tuning in today. Do you have a question you would like answered here on the Lessons to My Teenage Self podcast? If so, go to the show notes where you will see an anonymous form you can fill out, and that question may be answered here on the show. Also, if this show is valuable to you, could you do one of two things that are enormously valuable to me? Number one, share it with a friend. Just take a screenshot, send it to her, or you can go to the show and send it straight from there. Also, if you can provide a rating and review, particularly if you listen to your podcast in Apple Podcasts. Thanks again, and see you next time.